Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. Have you heard about Gesso and how it might improve your paint by numbers? In today's video, I will test it out on this canvas, so keep watching this video until the end to improve your paint by numbers designs. Let's start with the basics. What is gesso made of? Gesso traditionally contains a pigment, a binder reagent, and chalk, which we commonly know in this form to write and draw with. The chalk is the interesting ingredient here because chalk is actually derived from rocks and grinded so we see it as a fine sand in our gesso. Which is why after you have applied gesso, you can feel that the surface is more rough. If you go over it with your hand, you can definitely feel a difference in texture. And that's the purpose of gesso. That's why people use it. So this fine sand, you can't see it, but the way you notice it is that the paint flows easier on the canvas because those little sand particles grab onto your paint and hold it in place. So in practice, your paint flows nicer. And that's why a lot of painters they use, or most of them, they use gesso under their paintings. Not just for paint by numbers, paintings in general. Okay, so gesso also protects your canvas. You could, if you wanted to use this for other applications, put first a layer of gesso on wood or other surfaces to protect the surface. So in our case, our canvas actually will last longer if we first put a layer of gesso because it protects the canvas of absorbing the paint that you put on top of it. Which brings me to my next point. Once you have applied one or multiple layers of gesso, the gesso would have sunk in into the canvas. So the paint you apply on top of that, your paint by numbers, will not sink into the canvas, so you need less paint to cover the same amount of area, which is much more fun to paint because it flows better. So you might think, okay Laura, do I really need gesso for paint by numbers? Does it not come pre-treated like everything else is with the kit? Well, it depends on where you buy it from and the canvas that they use. So this canvas I'm currently working on from Victoria's Moon, I've noticed that the paint is sinking in because you can see these white spots throughout the canvas, and I actually once I'm finished I want to go over them again to get rid of it. If I had used gesso to begin with, this would have prevented this problem. The first paint by numbers kit I did, I never saw this sinking in into the canvas. So I think that canvas was treated in a certain way that it was already kind of gessoed. In the end, it's also a painting preference, but everyone that I spoke to has not looked back and continues using gesso since. Which gesso should you go for? So as I mentioned in the beginning, one of the ingredients of traditional gesso is pigment. So make sure, remember, it has to be clear gesso, not white, not black obviously, but not white, clear. Um, Most painters would of course use white gesso because if you have a white canvas that just blends. But for us to be able to see our paint by numbers, we need to use clear gesso. And I'm applying it here. After I let it dry, I can still see the numbers very clearly. So this brand that I bought from Amazon, I can recommend, and we'll put the link down in the description below. How do you apply the gesso to your paint by numbers canvas? And can you still apply the gesso after you have started painting? Well, during this video, I have applied gesso with the biggest brush that comes with the kit. So I haven't bought any special brushes for it. It does take a bit longer. If you have a bigger brush, the quicker you're done. But that's all. You don't need any special brush. Just make sure you wash it out properly after you use it to maintain your brushes properly. And the answer to the second question, yes, you can paint on top of some of your paint by numbers if you need to, like I did during this video. I did notice for the blacks I can see a bit of the clear gesso. It's not very obvious and only when I look very closely. But then, of course, once it's finished, I could go over the black there again. I haven't decided yet as I haven't finished. So how many layers of gesso should I apply? So this depends on the artist actually. Everyone has different preferences. So I use the biggest brush from the set, and maybe that's why, but I got a new canvas here and I think I will just do one layer of gesso to begin with. If you feel it's not enough or you can't quite feel difference or you still see the paint sinking in, because it also depends on the canvas that you have in front of you. Some canvases are treated, like I said, some of them are not. Which means it's up to you and your preferences and what gives you the most joy of painting your paint by numbers. So this was another close-up look of the gesso that I bought, and the link is in the description if you want to try out gesso as well. I hope I addressed all your questions and that you found this video useful. Thank you very much for watching and please subscribe. It will really help me out as a small YouTuber and I really appreciate it. Also hit the likes button and comment down below what you think about gesso. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye!